The city of Thorold is situated on treaty land. The land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Haudenosaunee and the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The city of Thorold stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship on the lands in which we live. Are there any declarations of interest today? Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda? Moved by Councilor DeVitis and then seconded by Mark. And I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That was carried. So we will begin with introductions. So we will just go around the room. So please say your name and why you wanted to be on the committee. Mayor Ugolini, if you would like to start, then we can just go around the room.
Mayor Terry Ugolini, I've been involved on this committee for, well, this will be the third term. I've been chair the last 2 terms, and when I was councillor and then mayor last time, and have a deep interest in this subject matter because it's so important to our community.
Hi everybody, I'm Matthew Brenham. I'm the city clerk here at the City of Thorold. I am a non-voting member of staff on this committee.
Hello, I'm Jason Simpson, Director of Development Services for the city, and I'm also a non-voting member of the committee.
Gary Citrigno, member at large, I think we still call it that, right? I've been on the committee for 3 terms now, I guess.
Yeah.
Just got involved with this committee because I thought it was a good avenue to kind of help understand what we had to do with the situation of students, residents, and renters. It's been a pretty eye-opening experience with the whole thing, and I think we've made a lot of ground in this committee, so I'm glad to see it's back again.
Hi everyone, I'm Megan McCrae. I'm the Community Relations Specialist here at the city, and I will be the staff liaison for the committee.
Hi everyone, I'm Sydney. I work for the Clerk's Department. I'm the legislative assistant, and I will be helping the committee with taking the minutes and also be preparing the agendas and answering the administrative questions.
Hi everyone, I am Carmela. I am a new person on this committee. I've never actually been on a city committee, but I'm very excited for this opportunity and to just kind of give a different perspective and also learn different perspectives while being here.
Good morning, my name is Mark Lefebvre. I'm retired, so instead of complaining, I'd like to help, and that's why I'm on the committee.
Good morning, I'm Mike DeVitis, City Councilor of Thorold. I want to join this committee. I have a lot of experience with in this department, dealing with students and with rentals, and I thought it'd be a good fit for myself.
Marcia, if you would like to make your introduction.
Hi everyone, my name is Marcia Capola. I'm a business owner in Thorold, an active member of the Thorold BIA Executive, Thorold Hockey. I sit on many of the mayor's committees. I'm also a resident of the notorious Winterberry Boulevard. I'm actually the organizer of the Thorold Welcome to Our Backyard event. It's an event that allows businesses to welcome Brock students and Niagara students and their families to downtown. Shows them where the laundry is, where to have a hot breakfast, things like that. I hope by joining this board, it would build connections and relationships between many of the boards and organizations that I sit on, and thought this would be a good way to communicate back to them of what's happening.
Thank you. Kristen?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kristen Smith. I'm the manager of off-campus and community experience here at Brock. I recognize a number of faces around the table here, and I'm new to this role, so I look forward to learning from each of you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Chief Dixon?
Good morning, Fire Chief Terry Dixon, City of Thorold. I'm on this committee because my city clerk told me it's in the bylaw that I have to sit on this committee. So here I am. Look forward to it, though. I get to learn about what's going on in the community, especially when it comes to our Brock students in our schools. So that's good.
Thank you. Counselor Sentence.
Yeah, hi, my name's Ken Sentence. I'm a councillor of City of Thorold. I sat on this committee last term and look forward to this term. I believe we accomplished a lot, but there's still things that we can improve on. So, thank you.
Thank you. Sarah.
Good morning. My name is Sarah Panisi. I'm from Niagara College. My understanding is we do not have a team that looks after off-campus living, but I am the liaison and I'm new to my role at Niagara College. So looking forward to learning more about how this team works and what I can do to support.
Thank you. And Kaylee.
Hi, my name is Kaylee Rosetto. I am the Director of Governance and Advocacy at Brock University Students Union, and just looking forward to getting to know everybody on the call and seeing how I can help kind of bridge the connection between the students at Brock and the community.
Thank you. So we will move to selection of the chair and vice chair. So I will now call for nominations for the chair, and I will need a mover and seconder for each. Counselor Sentence.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Terry Ugolini again for chair.
Okay, and is there a seconder? By Mark. Okay. I will call a second and third time for nominations for the chair. Okay. Can I get a mover and a seconder to close the nominations for committee chair? Counselor Sentence and Counselor DeVitis. I'll call the question. All those in favor? All those opposed? That was carried. So there being only one, Mayor, would you accept your nomination?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So there being only one nominee, please join me in congratulating Committee Chair, Mayor Ugolini. Congratulations. So I will now call for nominations for a Vice Chair. I will need a mover and seconder for each. Mark? Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. Mark, do you accept your nomination? Yes. Okay. I will call a second and third time for nominations for the Vice Chair. Okay. Can I get a mover and seconder to close the nominations for Vice Chair? Moved by Mark, seconded by Gary. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Okay, and opposed? That was carried. So there being only one nominee, please join me in congratulating Committee Vice Chair, Mark. Congratulations. So Mayor Ugolini, if you would like to take over chairing the meeting, I'll just bring you over the script.
I printed one. Okay, I'll take the scripted one. Thank you. Okay, first of all, I want to thank everybody for putting their faith in me for another term, and I want to congratulate Mark as well, and I look forward to working together not only with you, but the whole committee to continue our work and move things forward. So thank you. Okay, up next I have committee business, and the first item is there's two dates that I think everybody's received. If they haven't, they're August 28th and November 27th for our next two meetings. And then when we hit those meetings in November, we'll set dates for next year. So, but truth be told is that we call meetings sometimes outside of these meetings if we have to. So if there's an issue that we need to address or there's items that the committee wants to address, we can by all means hold additional meetings to what you see here. Okay, so so can I get a mover and a seconder to accept those two dates? I got a mover, Mark Lefebvre, and a seconder, Councillor Dividitis. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, so up next, work plan. this is some goals and some things you'd like us to work on that we can add to a work plan. Our major work is related to community relations, working with Brock University and Niagara College, and our community partners, which includes BUSU and the Niagara College Student Union, bylaw from City of Thorold, and the region, as well as Brock Off-Campus Patrol and Brock University staff, our group, and Jason's group here in the City of Thorold. That's our main work, okay? We work together as a team, and we work on issues and try and resolve problems. But it's not limited to that. If there's other issues that, and we don't have to list them all today, but there's other things you'd like to see us put a focus on, the floor is open for any suggestions. Go ahead, Marcia.
I'd actually like to see the committee instead of always dealing with the complaints, maybe we can take part in the Welcome to Our Backyard event that we started. It's a great way to bridge that relationship and do something positive and welcoming, and hopefully, them see this town as like their home while they're away from home.
So that event is going to take place, is there a time that you are looking at? I know last year, was it in August or was it in September?
It's September when the students get back. We worked with BUSU last year and Niagara College to set a proper date that didn't interfere with Frosh Week or Grape and Wine. Okay. And once our committee is formed tomorrow, we'll start picking a date, but hopefully from that point on, we will always have the date for future ones.
So what Marcia's suggesting is that we become a part of that event and work with them, which I think is an excellent idea, so we can add that to the work plan. Jason, did you want to speak on that?
Thank you very much, Marcia. I'm glad you brought that up. I completely agree. And I think if the community has an opportunity to look at any other opportunities to engage the student population in the community as well, that'd be, I think it would be a good opportunity for this committee to put their heads to that versus just the issues that arise.
Thank you. I think that's excellent, and that's been duly noted, Marcia, and we will definitely work together on that initiative. There's another initiative we do work on, which it takes place usually around the same time, and that's Welcome Wagon. Welcome Wagon is run by Brock University, in which they go door to door with literature, mostly in the high-density student areas, and get the message out about being a good neighbor. And I know that we've had members of this committee get involved in that as well. So I think we should include that in the work plan as well to be part of that initiative. And that's usually the same time as the event, Marcia, downtown. They usually run that.
Oh, I was part of it. Yeah, I worked with Kristen last year.
So it's usually the same time.
We knew what was going on.
Yeah, it's usually the same timing. One other question I'll ask the clerk is waste management. Are they an official part of this committee? Because if they're not, can we change the terms of reference to do that? Because Catherine Habermill has been to our meetings, and we do need to reach out to her for move out week in April to make sure that we're on top of that. Are they an official part of this committee?
So through the chair, or to the chair, no, they're not officially, but we could certainly look at making an amendment for that. And
can we do that and bring it to the next council meeting?
Absolutely.
That would be great. Is everybody in agreement with that we make sure that the Region Waste Management has part of this committee? Because the way, and it's complicated, and Jason, you can probably shed light on that, the way it works in the city of Thorold is we do clean yards bylaw and garbage issues, but once that garbage is put out to the curb, it's the responsibility of the region. And that's why we need them to be a community partner in all this. Okay? Anything else? I do like what Marcia said. We work on a lot of things to make sure that the negatives don't grow, but we got to tell the positive story too. And I think that's something that we can focus on, Megan, with some releases when we're doing initiatives with Brock or Niagara College, that we make sure that that word gets out as well. Okay. Now I open the floor for roundtable discussion. And we do this every meeting, roundtable discussion. We go around. If you have anything that you want to bring up or anything, suggestions, by all means, it's a good time for that interaction. So I'll start over here with Councillor Dividitis. If you have anything you want to bring up under roundtable.
No, not really. I noticed the students are well behaved this year. Like, I had no problems at all downtown. I'm there like 3 nights a week down there. Compared to other years, I'm very, very happy and pleased.
I can say that since the COVID restrictions have been lifted, things have gone better. When COVID restrictions were on, there was tended to be more house parties.
Yep.
And with the restrictions being lifted, it has been better. We had our most successful St. Patty's Day weekend that I can recall.
Yes,
and Jason, am I correct on that? You want to expand on that? I think it was our best yet from my feedback.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, you are correct. This has been the quietest year, as Councillor Dividitis had raised as well. All the students have been, or at least the majority of the students have been very respectful and contained the large gatherings and parties to a minimum. Not like we've seen in previous years, even prior to COVID. This year has been one of the best years we've seen for many.
Okay, thank you. Mark?
Perhaps one of the things we could look at is the issue of parking. It's not so much student parking, it's just parking. I'm speaking specifically to both sides of the road that impede traffic flow. And some of them are so close to the boulevard, you make a turn, they're going to get hit.
Yep.
So it's how we can communicate expectations from the city and how we can help people understand and then move their vehicles if they have to.
That's a good point, and I'm going to, again, Jason, I'm going to keep putting you on the hot spot, but Jason's doing a parking study now, and if you want to shed some light on that, be appreciated.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My seat's always hot, so don't worry about it. Yes, as the mayor identified, council did approve the city to do a parking study this year. We are just trying to nail down when in the year we're going to put out that RFP to hire a consultant to do that. They'll be putting a strong focus on the downtown, but also looking at the entire city and what our parking needs are, what sort of parking regulations we should have in place, what sort of parking enforcement should have in place, anything that we can throw in there with regards to parking to see where we can improve. We did just update our website, our webpage specific to parking to help make it a little bit easier and informative to everybody as well. And we're looking for opportunities to continue to improve.
Thank you, and do you want to shed light on where we're at with the hiring of a second parking enforcement officer?
Sure, thank you. So this year, 2023, is the first year that the city in some time at least has had dedicated parking enforcement officers. Council approved the hiring of 2 full-time permanent parking enforcement officers. One has been filled, and we are in the process of recruiting. In fact, the job posting just closed yesterday. So I'll be looking through, I believe there's around 200 applicants. So I'll be going through all of those this week and hopefully filling that position by the end of April, beginning of May, I'm hoping.
200 applicants, wow. That's awesome to see that response. Is there anything else, Mark? No. Thank you so much. Camille?
I don't really have too much to add. I know currently I am on the board of directors for the Niagara College Student Union, and I haven't heard too much negative feedback from the student side, so I've definitely heard positive things. They're definitely doing well as students right now.
And we look forward to your keeping us informed on that level. Yeah. Go ahead, Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One thing I think might be useful for us to know, if Carmela or even Sarah have an opportunity to try and identify approximate numbers of Niagara Niagara College student population that may live in Thorold. We have a pretty good understanding of how many Brock students are in the area, but with Niagara College, we're not really that sure. So if that type of information is available or could be obtained, that would be helpful.
Okay, go ahead, Mark. Did you want to comment on that?
Just to add to what Mr. Simpson was saying, like we have single residential homes or multi-residential homes that have a combination of those students, which complicates the problem. You can't just say they're from Brock University, because they're not. There's kids right across from me. There's kids that are from Niagara and Brock. They're just sharing the house, right?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, Sydney, do you have anything? Megan?
Nothing to share at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Gary, go ahead. Gary's a longtime member on this committee. He's been here as long as I have.
That's why we got gray hair. Actually, I'm going to go back, and Jason, again, it's you that I'm going to be talking to. In the fall of last year, my neighbor across the street, his yard backs onto Elderberry. And I'll get to the question in a minute, but it was early September, mid-September, a bunch, maybe 10, 15 slightly alcoholic people jumped over his fence into his pool, scared his wife. When he came out, they finally jumped back over the fence and ran back to the house. Actually, when I phoned the city to find out if the 3 units that were causing most of the noise and the trouble almost every weekend were not registered as part of the rental agreement thing, licensing. And the person on the phone was terrific, a lot of help, responded immediately to what I wanted. So that worked out really well. All 3 units were not involved in the rental agreement licensing. I never did find out because we never got back to this committee and then the election and all the rest of it. So did somebody go and because like I said, all 3 of them, one license had expired. Is there a follow-up? And if you go to a unit and they're in violation of the number of things that are on the agreement, is there a follow-up after 3 months, 6 months, and does the fine increase accordingly? Okay.
Go ahead, Jason.
So the way that things currently operate, we are continuously, on an ongoing basis, investigating properties. Even if we go to a property for an unrelated issue and we identify that it is a rented property, then that is followed up on from the residential rental licensing perspective as well. Every application, so we log them all in our computer system. They do get followed up on a regular to make sure that they are brought into compliance. Some take much longer than others. Some are in the middle of landlord-tenant board issues, which complicates the whole matter. Penalties are issued when compliance is not achieved within time frame given by the officers to come into compliance. We do not currently have a stepped penalty system for any bylaw, including residential rental licensing bylaw. But it is something that's currently under review and will be coming to council for consideration, I'm hoping before July. I'm not sure if I covered everything that you had asked.
Follow-up, like if a unit is identified as having violations, is there a 6-month, 3-month?
Oh, I see.
Check?
So we don't currently do proactive follow-ups on properties Not that we couldn't, like we have the authority to do that. It tends to right now come down to a resource issue where we're so busy with trying to address all the active complaints that come in, that we don't really have a lot of time to do too much of the proactive follow-up. But with that said, we do some. Anytime the officers are driving down the street and they see things, they will call it in and put in a ticket for it to be investigated by someone at any opportunity that they have. But again, we are so busy with everything else that unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time to do those proactive follow-ups with the residential rental licensing.
And the beauty of the residential licensing, once we get these properties licensed, is then we have a database and we know who owns those properties. So if we have issues, we can also get a hold of the landlord, as well as making sure that the property is safe. Go ahead, continue, and then I'll come over to you, Mark.
I will say that we are continuously trying to make improvements. So we're currently doing an in-house review of the residential rental licensing program in its entirety, being the process and the bylaw. We are hiring another staff member in July, I believe. We have approval from council to hire another clerical position to assist with that. And I'm in the works of trying to obtain some software that will assist us in automating some of the processes, automatically notifying us when licenses are up for renewal, because a lot of it is all done manually right now. So we are taking steps to try and streamline the process and make improvements where we can to save time.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mark. You had your hand up regarding that item.
Yeah, just piggybacking on what the original comments from Gary, and I'm really asking the question, or then posing a suggestion. So, I think the issues that Gary was talking about, they're so multi-layered, but we have there's multi-agencies that can assist with these concerns. So you've got fire, police, bylaw, parking now. So if you're coming to one thing, you see a whole bunch of parking, somehow there has to be communication between, hey,
the groups.
Can you take a look at that? Between it's a larger group. It's not always just bylaw.
No, that's a good point, and that they communicate to each other. Yeah. Go ahead, Jason.
Excuse me, bylaw enforcement and parking are all in the same department, so there is that communication there. The fire department is very involved in the residential rental licensing program, so they do notify us, as well as other departments within the city, notify us when they become aware of a rental property. The police have, unfortunately, there isn't a representative with the police here with us today. But they have advised me that anytime that they attend a property for a bylaw-related matter and identify it as a student rental, then they'll notify us. So we have there can definitely be improvement on it, no question. But we do have some communication between some of those agencies. But if there's any suggestions on others that we could involve, I'm open to hear that.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jason. Just because they're not always student rentals, they can be Airbnb rentals. Like in Gary's example, you don't know if they're students.
No, that's a good point. Jason, did you have anything else to add? Okay, Matthew?
Nothing from me, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, and then I'll move on to Marcia. You're up next. Go ahead, Marcia. You're muted. There you go.
I know, that's why I had it unmuted. I apologize. So I'm going to change my hat to a hockey hat. With so many sports management themed courses between Niagara College and Brock, we're hoping that we could team up with some of the students this coming year and build that bond between community. We would like to maybe offer coaching positions, or seeing if they're interested in organizing like Learn to Skate programs in Thorold in the city. So if anyone has any contacts that could help us, that would be great. Again, I think if these kids have a bond to where they're living, I think that's really key, and you're going to see a positive impact that way.
That's a good point. And I know that Brock and Niagara College love to get involved in those type of initiatives, and we'll talk about it as we move through on the round table. Is there anything else, Marcia?
No, that's everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Kristen, go ahead, and you might want to piggyback on that as well.
Certainly. Marcia would be happy to make some connections here on campus to promote that out for students. We do have a program called Brock Cares that Terry referenced earlier that coincides with the welcome back of students. So it's typically, we host a full volunteer day for students to kick off their year to be connected to our broader community as volunteers. And that typically happens the Saturday of Welcome Week. So I think we're looking at Saturday, September the 9th for this year. And so certainly we'll put the call out to this group if there are organizations that you work with who could use student volunteers on that day, but not limited to that day, that can be involved. We do organize group volunteer activities monthly for Brock students to be out and active in the community that are organized by us. But beyond that, we also post individual volunteer opportunities that are ongoing for students as well to have access. So happy to share that. As you've mentioned earlier, there are two sides to the student experience story, in the sense we have a number of students contributing to the community while they're here, and we're looking to foster that here on the campus as well. I would like to say a thank you in terms of the remarks earlier around St. Patrick's Day. It definitely was a team effort in terms of folks participating in advance. So we had a number of partners that were joining us door to door. We did an education campaign out to students, both in Thorold and in St. Catharines, with bylaw, with the NRP. So thank you for those partners who were ready and on the ground to deal with any issues. And I do echo the comments that it was a relatively quiet St. Patrick's Day, both in St. Catharines and in Thorold. We are also educating students as we're reaching the end of term. So we will be having social media information going out around large item pickup, how to, like, those steps to take to move out properly, and to be a support for students as they're preparing to perhaps move houses at the end of the term. So just staying in front of the education piece as we can to support students, as well as supporting students when they are having issues in their rental property, where we are here to support them. So
thank you.
I'm happy to support this committee moving forward.
So Kristen, you're going to, with Marcia, do you have each other's email, and that you can coordinate that? And then I'll talk to Sarah about that when I get to her. And the other issue about the campaign for the waste management, we can involve Catherine Habermill, and that would be great. Because that's an important issue come the end of April for sure.
Yeah, happy to be involved in both. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Terry, go ahead, Chief Dixon.
Thank you, Mayor. Nice listening to the comments. We'll piggyback on the residential licensing a little bit there too. So just so everybody understands, when fire goes to any kind of emergency whatsoever throughout the city in general, like Mark said, it's not just the students' rentals that we are concerned about, it's all rentals. So we definitely forward that on to our fire prevention department, which is connected to the bylaw department, to make this program run. Jason is correct. We are making good headway with the residential licensing. It's just not where we want it to be yet. It's still work in progress. But it's going to be all said and done when we get this thing finalized. It'll definitely be the best program. There's nobody else in the region that does this, by the way, just so everybody's aware. So it's a very cumbersome ordeal to do residential licensing. However, we definitely see the progress in it. As the mayor said, St. Patrick's Day was fantastic this year. Even in St. Catharines, when they went down to Jacobson Street, it was very, very respectful. They did their thing that on the Saturday, and the next day, even bylaw down there didn't have any issues with garbage and all that fun stuff that usually carries on. So I think in all, everybody's effort is really making a difference with the students, and the messaging is definitely getting out there. So further to that, I think I'm just listening to the concerns and comments, and glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Dixon. And it takes all the partners working together, and that's one thing that's really come out of Town and Gown and our subcommittees is the importance of all the community partners working together and being proactive. And we've made important inroads because of the work we do before the event. You know, and that's the planning aspect that's so important. Sarah, go ahead.
Thank you. There's not much to update on my end. I have made note of the 2 requests for information back from Niagara College, and I will share that information when I have answers back. Thank you.
Yeah, and Sarah, you, again, with what Marcia said about community initiatives and the initiative that the Thorold Minor Hockey would like to institute, we'd like you to be a part of that, and that would be a great step forward.
Yes, thank you. I have made note of that, and we'll circle back with the person on campus who is responsible for that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Kaylee, welcome back.
Thank you. I just would echo kind of what Kristen was saying. We're happy to help make the connection between Thorold and any students here. We did just host a free skate for students, and we had, I can't remember because events aren't really my thing, but we either had the hockey team or the figure skaters out. Either way, very good skaters out helping some students that didn't know how to skate. So I think that would be a really, really great event, and we'd be happy to participate any way that we could. And yeah, just hearing about some of the events that you mentioned, I'm very lucky in my position because the students I work with are the student leaders some of the student leaders at Brock, and they're very engaged students, and they do want to be out in the community. So happy to connect on anything really that you want students at.
Thank you so much. And I know we'll have some community events coming up like Canada Day weekend, and you're always a part of our Santa Claus parade and different events like that. So we look forward to that. Okay, so our next meeting's going to be on August 28th, am I correct? Oh, well, go ahead, Jason.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, my seat's getting a little bit too warm here. I need to say something.
Go ahead.
I do have something that I would like to bring up to the committee. It is a project that I've been thinking of wanting to do, and I think it's most appropriate to discuss it at this committee as whether they feel it's a good idea or not, and maybe come forward as a recommendation from this committee if it's something we desire. But it's creating a municipal web page on dedicated to students living in Thorold, so that they have a one-stop location to go to for everything that they may want to know, whether it be bylaw-related things, events that are happening, just information on being a good neighbor, stuff like that. So it's something I've had in my mind for a while. I've talked with Megan McRae a little bit about it, but it hasn't really gotten off of the ground yet. So I'm just curious as to whether or not if this committee would see any value in something like that.
Well, I always believe there's never too much communication, right? So has anybody got feedback and want to bring that? I see Kristen's hand up. Go ahead, Kristen.
Yeah, Jason, we would certainly support that at Brock within the relations that we do, and certainly could be something that we publicize during the welcome wagon that we do with students in the fall, letting them know about that. But the fact that you have an ongoing resource, even better. So as students are moving in and out of Thorold, we're able to make that connection to the website, and it's easy to find. We would happily support that and share resources as well, and promote that on our page.
Go ahead, Mark.
I think perhaps that there could be some consideration to looping that back into the city site, because I think it's not only for students, I just think it's for residents too. Like if everybody knows what's going on, I think it's just better for the community.
Good point. Very good point. And we also talked about getting all the contact information in one place, which would make it easier for somebody. But I think that's something we can build on. Does everybody agree that we can make a recommendation like that out of this group? Okay. So do you want to, basically, you want to create an information page? If you want to expand on that, I'll let Matthew, and then we'll make sure we make the right recommendation.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Mr. Mayor, given the work that probably needs to go into it, it's probably a good idea to add that just to the work plan for the committee for now. Make sure that that's just an action item that we're constantly coming back to and keeping sort of as a target. And whether that's ready for, you know, we can set timelines on it. So if you want it ready for September for a new start, as an example, maybe that's a goal. Maybe it's bigger than that, but at least it's on there that the committee is aware of
Okay,
it.
so we're adding that to the work plan then, okay? Go ahead, I see Councillor Sentence. Go ahead, you got your hand up? Go ahead, Councillor Sentence, because you weren't there in round table, so if you have anything you want to add, please do.
I was there. I was in the background. Sorry. I guess first with the waste management, it's not just the big, you know, end of the year pickups. I'm glad you suggested putting them in because it can be an all year thing where we might need their help. Second thing is Marcia and the BIA's downtown event is great. It's a great initiative to bring them down there, and maybe, you know, volunteer forms can be down there or in the packages that we send out to students in the Welcome Wagon event as well. And what this committee has been really good at over the last 4 years that I saw is being proactive, like you said earlier, Mr. Mayor, not just reacting to the problems, whether it be parking, whether it be snow, whether it be parties, is being proactive. And I think that's why we're at the stage we're at, where everything's a little bit better. So just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and when we get together at the end of August, I can't stress enough, and Jason, you're on the hot seat, so you can speak again, is traditionally in the city of Thorold, September, October are real month where we have to be proactive and make sure we're prepared. And that August meeting is where we make sure that we have everything in place. Jason will report at that time on you know, what our community partners have in mind and what initiatives, the downtown initiative, the Welcome Wagon, will have the plan on how we can engage and be part of that. So that's probably our most important meeting of the year. Go ahead, Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you alluded to, yes, we do have that August 28th, I believe you had identified as the next meeting date. It is a very important meeting, but we will be meeting with community partners well in advance of that meeting to get things prepared, and then I'll be able to report back at the August 28th meeting.
Thank you so much. Okay, so our next meeting is August 28th, and we always try and have it before September. I would even like to have it a week earlier, but a lot of us will be at the AMO conference. That's why we couldn't have it a week earlier. But if we need to meet and something comes up in the meantime, we will call a meeting. So we won't sit on our hands, okay? So that being said, I want to thank everybody and for our kickoff meeting here today, and I look forward to working with you all. And there being no further business, this meeting is hereby adjourned at 10:44.